In our previous section of the tutorial, we looked at how to get MIDI into Ableton Live from a global preference standpoint, and then how to assign it to specific tracks within the mixer. That gets us into clips or into the basic arrangement window. What we're going to take a look at now is how to take existing MIDI data and convert it into audio. Now, there may be many reasons why you want to do this. You may want to share it with a friend who has Ableton Live, or you might want to share it with someone who has just a basic DAW audio workstation. The audio file is basically universal, and anybody who can load one up, it'll be the same. So let's take a look at how to do that now. We want to take this existing track from this file called Funky Jam. So again, if you have access to the demo, the file project files, go ahead and pull up Funky Jam, and we'll take a look at this track. Now I'm going to select it, and that selects all the MIDI data. Let's go up to File now and choose Export Audio and or Video. You can also get to this through Command Shift R or Control Shift R. Okay, so I've selected that now, and this dialog box comes up, and we can see that it's developed into 3 different sections. Up top we set some preferences. Which track is it that we want to turn into audio, render to audio? It comes up to the default master, but in this case we're going to pick a specific track called Well in Front. And we see that's the one I was talking about selecting. Normalize basically makes sure that the volume of the track comes out strong. If this is going to CD, you definitely want that on. If you want it to come out at the specific level you've got, then you can leave that off. Do we want to render this as a loop? Sometimes yes, but in this case we're taking a big long track, and I don't want to render that as loop, so I move this so we could see. Continuing on now, we choose information about the audio track that will result. What file type do we want? On a Mac we basically want to leave it in AIF, and in Windows we want to leave it in WAV. Rest assured though that you can share both these types, so you can definitely pull a WAV in on a Mac. Do we want to convert this track to mono? And in this case I definitely do not want to, because I have some stereo effects on this electric piano. The sample rate and bit depth come up to the presets or the settings that match an audio CD. You can change that to match another audio configuration you might be going to, but for CD we're going to leave it at 44,100 samples, that's per second, and a bit depth of 16 bits for each sample. Dithering options, we have some options here, but then we have some professional dithering at the bottom. I'm going to use Power 2. Do we want to create an analysis file? This is important if we're going to use this again in Ableton Live. That analysis will be stored with it. Down the bottom we have some video preferences, but I'm going to leave those alone for this. So again, we've got all this set we want. We're going to do the OK button now, and it's going to ask us where do we want to save this file and under what name. Now for quick finding, I'm going to store this on my desktop. I'm going to use the name Well in Front 1 because that'll remind me of this track. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. It searches for the maximum audio to get a normalized figure. Then it creates the audio file, and now it's creating the analysis file. Once it's complete, the dialog box disappears. Now I'm going to temporarily move this over so we can see both the audio track, AIF, and the analysis file, ASD, are here in place on the desktop. I'm going to create a new audio track by right-clicking down here and say Insert Audio Track. Unfold that. And now drag my audio file, click and hold, and just drag it over. And I'll pull this back into the center position of the screen. I'm going to pull this all the way to the beginning of the song now that I can see it. And we can see that we have audio here that lines up with electric piano. Audio here, electric piano here, silence, no waveform here. Now that is a silent waveform, so if you drag this into another audio workstation software, this will line up perfectly. If we did multiple tracks this way, the silences ensure, again, they stay in sync. So let's go ahead and solo this track now, and listen to that. Spacebar to play. So indeed, we did get a good audio track. We can zoom in. I'm going to pull this track down a bit more for visibility. and zoom in by the overview. And we can see that we've got a good strong waveform here because we did select the normalize function. So again, that's the way to export audio. We take a MIDI and turns it into audio, and then we can use that back in Ableton Live. We can create loops, add more audio effects, whatever we may want to do. Okay, this concludes our look at exporting a MIDI track into an audio file.